What's alcohol? Alcohol is a drug and classed as a depressant since it slows down vital functions, resulting in slurred speech, unsteady movements, disturbed perceptions, and inability to react quickly. Alcohol affects the mind. It is best understood as a drug that reduces a person's ability to think rationally, and it distorts his or her judgment. There are different kinds of alcohol. One of these is ethyl alcohol, also known as ethanol, the only kind that is used in beverages, and it is produced by the fermentation of grains and fruits. Alcohol overdose causes even more severe depressant effects such as inability to feel pain, toxicity, where the body vomits the poison, and finally unconsciousness or worse, coma or death. As to international statistics, alcohol kills more teenagers than all other drugs combined, a factor in the three leading causes of death among 15 to 24 years old: accidents, homicides, and suicides. Youth who drink are 7.5 times more likely to use other illegal drugs and 50 times more likely to use cocaine than young people who never drink. Alcohol withdrawal syndrome is a potentially life-threatening condition that occurs in people who have been drinking heavily for weeks, months, or years, and then either stop or significantly reduce their alcohol consumption. Did you know that alcoholism is the third leading lifestyle that causes death in the nation? Each year, 88,000 deaths attribute to excessive alcohol use. Alcohol withdrawal symptoms can begin as early as 2 hours after the last drink, persist for weeks, and range from mild anxiety and shakiness to severe complications such as seizures and delirium tremens. Alcohol kills fast, so why in a hurry? Rethink before drink.
It may be legal, but it is still a drug. Be safe, be sensible, know your limit. Alcohol is a drug too. Think before you drink. Your body belongs to you. The purpose of this presentation is to help you understand the impact that alcohol has on your brain and the damage it can do. Our goal is to provide you with information which will enable you to make informed choices in relation to safe alcohol consumption. Did you know? Healthy people metabolize alcohol at a fairly consistent rate. As a rule of thumb, a person will eliminate 1 standard drink or 10 mils of alcohol per hour. And remember, it's not how many drinks you have, but how much alcohol you consume. Several factors influence this rate, including gender, age, height, weight, general health, the presence of food in the stomach, the concentration of alcohol in the drink, and prescription or illicit drugs taken by the person. It's the blood alcohol concentration, or BAC, which is the key to why we are affected by alcohol. Basically, your blood alcohol concentration is the relationship between the total amount of alcohol in your system divided by total body water, because alcohol is dissolved and diluted in water. So that's also why drinking lots of water with any alcohol consumption is a really good thing. The BAC and the effects of alcohol go up when the body is taking in alcohol faster than it can metabolize it. For example, if you binge drink and consume a 750ml bottle of rum or 3 bottles of wine, that's around 26 standard drinks, between 6 p.m. and 2 a.m, your body will need until sometime around 6 p.m. the next day to process and get rid of the alcohol. And that's why driving or operating equipment the next day is not only illegal, but just crazy, particularly when you consider what this is doing to your brain. Let me explain. Alcohol enters the body and ends up in the stomach, at which point about 20% is absorbed immediately, and the other 80% is absorbed in the small intestine. The heart then pumps the absorbed alcohol to every part of the body, including the central nervous system, which consists of the brain and spinal cord, and it gets to the brain really fast. So that's why even after just 1 drink you can feel lightheaded or relaxed. Alcohol acts primarily on the nerve cells within the brain and interferes with communication between nerve cells and all other cells, slowing everything down. And that's why when we drink even a little, we experience the effects of alcohol on our emotions, judgment, balance, memory, speech, and anger levels, just to name a few. Did you know that your brain is still developing until you're around 20 to 25? So we need to be really careful because alcohol can do some irreversible damage to various parts of our brains. For example, drinking affects the cerebral cortex, which controls our senses, and inhibitory centers, which is why when you drink, you become more talkative, more self-confident, and less socially inhibited. It also controls our thought processes, so alcohol affects our ability to make good judgment or think clearly. The brain's frontal lobes are important for planning, forming ideas, making decisions, and using self-control. So when alcohol affects the frontal lobes of the brain, you may find it hard to control emotions and urges, and you may act without thinking, and even sometimes become violent or act completely out of character. Does this sound familiar? The cerebellum is important for coordination, thinking, and being aware. So again, you may have trouble with these skills when alcohol affects the cerebellum. That's why people affected by alcohol sometimes can't walk properly or lose their balance and fall. The hippocampus is the part of the brain where memories are made. So when alcohol reaches the hippocampus, you may have trouble remembering something you just heard, or even worse, have a blackout and not be able to remember what you did last night. If alcohol damages the hippocampus, you may find it hard to learn or remember things in the future. The hypothalamus is a small part of the brain that does an amazing number of the body's housekeeping chores. After a person drinks alcohol, blood pressure, hunger, thirst, and the urge to urinate increases, while body temperature and heart rate decreases. And finally, the medulla controls the body's automatic actions, such as your heartbeat. It also keeps the body at the right temperature. Because alcohol chills the body, drinking a lot of alcohol outdoors in cold weather can cause a person's body temperature to fall below normal. This dangerous condition is called hypothermia. Your body belongs to you. Get the facts. Alcohol is unsafe for the developing brain. Alcohol can damage your brain forever. The long-term functioning and health of your brain depends on the choices you make today. Your responsible attitude toward alcohol can have a positive influence on your friends and family.
Alrighty, so what we have here is a cross-section of a normal liver. There it is on camera. You see how its architecture is relatively intact, the color is relatively homogeneous. This is, would you like to hold a normal liver? Mm-hmm.
That's a real liver.
That's a real liver. That is somebody's liver, so let's be respectful of that. So this is what a healthy liver should look like. Terry, do you want to hold it?
Sure, it's juicy. I could just say I've held a human liver.
Yes, you have.
Wow.
Okay, so that's, again, particularly notice that the architecture is uniform and the color, and there's a homogeneous quality to it, okay? This now is going to be a cirrhotic liver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And these are all regenerative nodules. The liver is full of scar, and it's attempting to regenerate itself, and as it regenerates, it comes up against scar and forms more scar.
How long does this take?
To develop?
Mm-hmm.
Well, women are at about a 5-time greater risk of developing this. Well, no, it's not the size. It's that you actually lack an enzyme in your stomach to break the alcohol down into a safer compound. And essentially, every woman I've treated that drink like either of you do has some degree of alcoholic liver disease. It's not possible that you don't have alcoholic liver disease. I can't say that you have cirrhosis. Not everybody gets cirrhosis, but I worry that you are at risk for cirrhosis. This is a mess, right? This is probably somebody who died of cirrhosis. And what happens is that not only are you unable to take toxins out of your system, and it can affect your brain, and you can become what's called encephalopathic. You can't build proteins normally. You can't fight. Your immune system doesn't work normally. Blood backs up behind the liver, and you actually develop varicose veins in your esophagus. They rupture, and you can bleed to death in minutes.
picture is worth 1,000 words. In this case, absolutely. And a drug prevention program in Portland, Oregon is hoping that proves to be true. They put together a documentary. It's called From Drugs to Mugs, to scare students straight with graphic real-life photos of drug abusers' ravaged faces over time. Deputy Brett King is the creator of the film. He joins us right now live from Portland. Deputy, what a great idea. How did you come up with it?
Well, it becomes very apparent when you're working on the booking floor of a jail every day and you see the stream of folks that we do, just how influential substance abuse is in their lives. And I was able, you know, to be privileged enough to see their mug shots and see them come back over and over again. And it was not long before I realized what a deteriorating effect these substances had on their bodies.
And you feel as though if kids who haven't made that decision to do it yet saw what they were up against, this would influence their lives and their decision process, correct?
Absolutely. We're appealing to their intellect, and the mugshots are there to get their attention. Vanity is a big factor in the life of a young person, and that's what I'm appealing to. That's my focus.
So you said you've had 2 incarnations of this, one since 2004, now you're back. How do you know you're reaching kids?
I've gotten thousands of letters from around the world. I just got one from a kid in Minnesota today that said he read about my work and read an interview with me where I said I just wanted to reach one kid, and he wanted to let me know that he is that one kid. His life has changed. He's off the drugs now. He's been off for a few years, and he's got a girlfriend. He sent me a nice picture of him and his girlfriend, and he wanted me to know how well he was doing. And that's just one of thousands that we've received. So if that's any indicator or any measure, this program and this approach is very successful.
Is it harder to be a kid these days, a high school kid these days? Are the temptations greater, even from when you started this program in 2004?
Well, I think things change all the time, and I don't know if the temptations are greater for kids these days than they were for me growing up in the 70s and 80s. But they're different, and there are a lot of different pressures, and the way young people look at life, and you know, with technology available to them, is much different than previous generations.
I mean, you got crystal meth, you have crack, and now heroin's making a comeback. And Deputy, I don't envy you, because in some of these cases with some of these drugs, do it one time, and you're in for a lifetime. You want to get to them before they make that decision.
That makes so much more sense to me, to appeal to the intellect of a young person, show them what happens, and this is in a very real and honest way. There's no attempt to scare young people at all. Right. It's been incorrectly billed that way. That makes so much more sense. It's a lot more cost effective than going back later on and trying to correct all the damage that's been done by somebody who's making all the wrong mistakes.
And you know what? As you were talking, you've been splitting the screen with all the shots that are out there in the Drugs to Mugs documentary that you have out. So hopefully you even got through somebody today. You're doing a great thing, Brett King. You corrections deputy over Multnomah of the Sheriff's Office. Thanks so much for joining us this morning out of Portland.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I don't even trust Bethany.
Bethany is a master manipulator. She's a liar. She's a thief. Bethany's stolen money, purses, clothing, anything that is of value she could probably sell, she sells. When Bethany comes around, you have to hide stuff in your car keys. There's been many occasions where Bethany's taken my mother or my father's car in the middle of the night and gone to go buy drugs. Bethany denies it 100%.
Bethany just needs to wake up and realize what she's doing. She's just being a selfish idiot.
Now, Bethany allowed our cameras to document her daily life. And when I say document, we didn't encourage, we didn't initiate, we were a fly on the wall. She just did what she did, and we documented it with our cameras. So take a look.
Well, I have a scar straight down here from my heart surgery. And then I have this one here, which is where the pacemaker is now.
Even though I've had open heart surgery and a pacemaker put in, I'm still getting high. It's something that I can't control. I am not shooting heroin right now. I'm snorting it. Heroin is my #1 priority in life. I probably use about 4 or 5 times a day. When I use, it's like a warm, fuzzy hug. It numbs out the world, and the world that I live in is no good. I'm gonna go ahead and get high in the bathroom. I feel better now. We are going to pick up some heroin right now for myself. I've got a friend that sends me money when I need it. They do not know what I use it for. I usually tell them what they want to hear. I'm just gonna get like just a couple bags. That'll last me a few hours.
How will they feel about us pulling up with the camera?
Oh no, you gotta turn that thing off. I am about to do some more of this heroin. I have a love-hate relationship with heroin. I love the way it makes me feel, but I hate what it does to me as a person and to the people that I love. With my medical condition, it's pretty insane that I would still choose to do what I'm doing. I'm risking my life at this point.
That's tragic. That's sad. It breaks my heart to know that I've known it all along, that she puts a drug ahead of her family and the love that we have for her. It's mind-boggling to me. I understand the addictive part physically. The mental part I don't quite get for whatever reason.
It makes me angry.
She's just been out of the hospital a very short time.
Yeah, 30, 40 days.
She was in a medically induced coma.
Yeah.
I don't understand how stupid you can be. I don't get it.
And if you give her $20, it goes up her nose right now.
The doctors that operated on her heart told her that when she came to her senses and was able to speak and understand out of the coma. You know, they said once they operated on her heart that if you go back to drugs, you'll die. In 90 days, you'll be dead.
Josh, any comment?
It's just, it's heartbreaking and sad to actually see her using. Obviously, all this time we've known she's been using.
Yeah.
But to watch her do it, it's actually makes my stomach hurt a little bit. But that's the reality of it. Reality of what she's doing is she's killing herself, and it's just tragic and sad.
What I just saw, I'm just amazed that she absolutely has been doing that, because she's been telling me that she's not doing anything, you know. And I just see this, and it's just like, you know, all the lies and the stealing, and
it's sickening.
It just is
Hurts
heartbreaking,
your heart.
because this is not the child that I raised.
But you have to come out of your fantasy world of what you want to believe,
Right.
what you want to be true, and recognize what is true, because you can't change what you don't acknowledge.
Right, exactly.
ಯಾನ ಸುಮಾರು
ಅಯ್ಯೋ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಯ್ತು